Welcome back. This is the Blue Corner. We're back for another week. I will jump straight into it this week, but before I do, please remember to hit that subscribe button, drop us a comment, maybe even a like if you do like it, I guess. But yeah, let's get on to it. This week I got another local Australian fighter. We're predominantly looking into the world of kickboxing, but I'm pretty sure that, you know, within time he'll probably jump to a couple of the other martial arts. He has a record of 12-0 at the moment, so he's undefeated. Mind you, 9 of those are on his amateur record, and then obviously he's come across to the pro records and he's been undefeated 3-0. I'm sure it'd probably be up to 5 or 6 had COVID not come into play. But anyway, I'm talking about Charles Joyner. Can I call you Charles or do you prefer Charlie?
Depends. People that know me I found from when I was a child were calling me Charlie a bit more, but people call me Charles now. But whatever your preference, like Mir, who you had on recently, calls me Charlie. So yeah, whatever you like, whatever you prefer, I'm happy with either.
No, the only reason I ask is obviously I have spotted a couple of your fights, and you know, I don't know what it is if you're fighting like tourists over here or something, but like the crowd goes pretty wild when it comes to your fights.
Yeah.
And the roar of Charlie in the rooms is quite predominant.
Yeah.
So listen, so obviously welcome on board.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. How has the start of the year been treating you? I mean, as I said in the intro, you've had a bit of a delay because I believe that you literally had your pro debut just before COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then obviously it put the whole world on standstill. But how's the start of the year been kind of treating you?
No, the start of the year's been good. So I had a fight March 27th, which was my toughest opponent to date, Milos. He's been around for a while, and I knew going into it it'd be tough. It was my first time fighting 5 3-minute rounds, and I definitely felt rounds 4 and 5. So that was a good experience. So I started the year off strong. Since then, it's been a little bit tricky trying to get opponent and getting matchups. I've spoken about it a bit on social media, just the problem of being ducked, but I've got a few things lined up. So, I mean, yeah, so far it's been a good start to the year, and it's been good. You know, we haven't had any sort of restrictions on fight shows or anything like that. So fight shows have been rumbling along. So yeah, can't complain at all.
And when you say ducked, have you actually called some people out?
Yeah. I mean, there's been, you know, I had a fight in November. I mean, before the fight, I had some sort of a rival of mine saying that his team was saying that they wanted the fight, and then I won via second round knockout, called him out. Then suddenly he wouldn't be ready till the end of the year. And then after this last fight, I've had, you know, about 4, 5, 6 people saying that they need a warm-up fight before they need to fight me. And these are quite experienced guys as well. So, yeah, it's been a little bit frustrating because I don't think that's what the game's about, especially, you know, someone that's quite inexperienced in it themselves. You've got experienced world champions telling you that they need a warm-up fight before they'll fight you. I don't really understand it, but I've got something soon. Someone agreed to the fight. So that will be in 4 weeks, but yeah, so...
And what do you think it is that the reason that people are ducking you? Do you think it is because of your clean record at the moment, or do you think it's more to do that you're a giant? Like, I have to ask, like, how tall are you?
6'8", 203 centimeters. Yeah, and yeah, I use every bit of it in the ring. So I think it does. I think that does play into it. I think it's the clean record. I think that I'm active on social media. I think it's that. I just post. Like, I always say or I've been saying recently to people, it's just really hard to prepare for me. Like, you can't. Like, I'm 6'8", but I don't fight. Like, I fight long, but I also fight smart. I fight evasive. I'm quick. So you can't really get anyone into spar that's similar to me, because it's just you know, I mean, I'm not to say that there aren't good tall fighters, but it's just a completely different style of fighting. So I think people look at that fight and just go, no, I'll go a different direction.
Well, John Jones is a very good fighter. But I mean, do you cut a lot of weight?
Not particularly. So my last few fights have been at 90 kilos. So I walk around sort of 93. So it's not, I do a bit of a water load of the week of the fight. This next one coming up is going to be 85 kilos. So that'll be a little bit more of a cut, but I'm with the fight dietitian, so he just makes it pretty seamless when we do it. So it's never a problem. He's
really starting to make some big waves, right?
Yeah.
Like he kind of popped up and like he's working with the who's who right now. It's incredible. But I do totally appreciate, and the one thing I really appreciated when I had him on the show is like I really got a sense of that he is doing it for the athletes rather than the paycheck, which in a lot of cases people are like work is work, right? But I do think that he puts the health of his athletes before the dollar signs. I mean, sure, he's running a business, don't get me wrong. But I just like his approach to things. But no, the reason I say you're a giant, I mean, when I just met you as well, like walking through the door, I'm like, mate, you should be playing basketball. I mean, you could be banking millions. Have you always just been in the martial arts, or have you played other sports?
No, yeah, I played other sports. I did play basketball. I did high jump as well. So another, the stereotypical tall people sport. But no, I was never into martial arts. I used to look at fighting when I was younger and think, why would anyone want to do that? Like I couldn't imagine myself, getting into a ring and just having to deal with that anxiety of doing it. But yeah, I started training when I was 20, and so I'm 20, just turned 26 now, and yeah, just got into it, not intending to fight or not intending to do any competition with it, just really to learn the skill. And yeah, one thing led to another, and ended up doing quite well at it, and here we are today.
But I do have to ask you, so where was the switch? Like, from going, why would anyone want to do this, to now, I mean, doing it, and not only just doing it, you're now doing it on a serious level, right? Like you're actually wanting to make a run at this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like doing it now, it's like the goal is to be, the best that I can possibly be. And I feel like when I'm the best I can, like if I get to that point of being the best I can possibly be, then I'll be one of the best in the world, if not one of the best to ever do it. Like that's just how I approach it now. The switch, when was the switch? I guess it was a gradual process of, slowly eliminating that fear to step into the ring. Like I still get that, the nerves and that little bit of fear getting in there. But I think just as I got older, I was, I think quite disciplined and working towards sport and different aims when I was, in my early teen years. And then as I got older, went to uni and sort of moved away from being disciplined and being, working towards something competitively. And then sort of doing a couple of years of that. When I came, I just was craving something that would get that discipline and get that, that competitive fire going again. And yeah, and martial arts was the sort of thing that I fell on. And one of the main reasons as well was it was sort of during the rise of Conor McGregor, and it just captivated me. And I just thought, well, I want to sort of learn that skill.
I have to ask you though, because I mean, two things. We'll first touch, I guess, on the Conor McGregor, because I did see that you are quite a big fan of his. Do you think we've seen the best of him? Like, do you, and I know it's hard to say when you are a big fan of him, but do you feel, because, and there's many reasons where people talk about like waking up when you've got silk sheets and things like that, but do you think we've seen the best of him, or do you think he can make a legitimate run again?
I think he's young. I think he can make a legitimate run. I think it's whether the silk sheet analogy, like it's used quite often, but it also is true, because I mean his mentality was such that when he was younger, he was working towards that goal, and it was, that sort of had the blinkers on, and then you get the money, and obviously, I mean, look at his lifestyle now. He's just sort of, I don't know, where is he, in Dubai still now, or Abu Dhabi? But he's probably
on a yacht in the middle of the ocean. Like I don't know where he is, but like, it's kind of one of those cases, as I say, like when he first came up, obviously we all know the story of him being on welfare, which that's where a lot of hunger comes from, right? And he really made that beeline to the championship and then to the first champ. But it just seems like, and I won't say once again, you're right. He is young, but it just seems like ever since he made that 100 mil from the Mayweather fight, I just feel like he's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's like, well, if he was just in it for the money, he literally doesn't have to do it anymore. I mean, his whiskey just went. Did it become? He just sold. Did he sell
600 mil?
Yeah, I mean, he literally does not have to do this anymore to make money. Like the money is inconsequential for him. So obviously there is still some hunger there to compete. So that's why I still think that he could. He's just got to try and sort of find the mindset that maybe, I don't know, just like that sort of the Mayweather. However, how did Mayweather stay competitive and stay disciplined when he was making so much money? Maybe he's got to study him a bit and see what he was doing to maintain that. It definitely is still possible. I think anyone can switch their mindset at any given time. So, yeah.
All right, we'll finish it up on that. But like one thing I just want to say: do you see him holding a belt again at any point? And if so, at what weight class?
Well, I think the lightweight division right now is probably his most likely that he can do it. Really, I don't really see him being able to go up to welterweight and beating Usman. I think just the size difference would be too much there, and especially with someone that relies on that knockout power early in the rounds. I just don't see him being able to finish Usman like that. I think the lightweight division now, it's stacked, but maybe he wouldn't be able to beat Khabib, but everyone else in there, I definitely think he could beat. So I think we'll see him win the lightweight belt again. And I think the combat sports world is just so much more entertaining when McGregor's a champion and McGregor's winning. So, yeah.
I don't even think he needs to be a champion. I think, and that's what I'm saying, like he'll always go down as a legend of the sport. I don't think he'll go down as one of the GOATs of the sport, if that makes sense. Like I do feel like he's changed the game for everybody involved. And as you say, he's entertaining. I mean, his press conferences are probably the most entertaining. When it comes to press conferences, hands down, he's the GOAT. But like in the realm of fighting, I think like he opened a lot of doors. He achieved a lot, but I kind of feel like, I don't know. I don't really see him holding the belt again, but I could be wrong. I mean, look, I normally get a few fighter picks at the end of each episode, but since we're on this topic, I'll get it right now. How do you see Dustin versus Conor 3? Do you think he's able to make the adjustments and beat Dustin? And if so, how? And how do you like that fight?
Oh, yeah. So whenever people ask me picks, I always just say, just knowing what a fight is like, and it's just so, because I know that it's so important to know what their mindset is like at that time, to be able to truly see how they're going to do. And then you want to be able to look at his training camp. Like, I don't know who he's training with at the moment. I don't know. Like if I was in his position, I feel like I'd want to go and, just go in the woods somewhere, lock myself down, get a team together. He's got the money to be able to do it, have the perfect team for this camp, and then just shut down and do it. But it looks like he's still, gallivanting, like you said, gallivanting around on the yacht. So, I mean, I think if I had to pick it, I probably would say, I think Poirier wins again. Just because I think, Poirier's just got that dog attitude. Like he'll be putting the work in right now. He's not going to be satisfied with just beating him once. Like he wants the 2-1 sort of, because he knows how much that can just change his life again, just help him level up again. So I think deep down, Poirier probably gets it done again, really.
Which is interesting. I totally agree with you on that. I'm picking Poirier. I think this division is made for Poirier. He's strong, man. He's just a dog. He's strong. The only reason I was kind of asking you that is because you said you can see Conor holding the belt again.
Yeah.
And I guess the only path I could see that is him winning against Dustin right now and then getting the title shot after Chandon Oliveira. But if you're saying Dustin is potentially going to beat Conor, what kind of path do you see for him to get to that belt?
Well, I think, can I see him winning the belt again? Yeah, I think he's got the skills. He's got the you know that he's got the mindset in there somewhere to be able to do it. So it's like, if he makes those adjustments, I think he can definitely win the belt again. I mean, I think it feels like Conor's always just one step away from the belt anyway. You know, like he loses this, say he loses this, then maybe he fights, you know, maybe the loser of Chandler Oliveira. He wins that, and then he's right back in line for a title shot. So I think he's never too far away from it. And he is he 32, 31, 32?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still relatively young.
Yeah.
He can continue to go for a while.
So I think it's a funny one. I try not to let my, affections for someone blind my judgment or being able to look at the situation as it is. Because I mean, it looks like he's just training in like a UFC gym over in Abu Dhabi. Like, I'm sure he's doing more than that, but he's just, who knows?
I don't know. The footage I've seen is him riding a push bike down some like Santa Monica wharf kind of feel, right? Like he's doing a lot of bike riding at the moment. Yeah. But listen, I mean, you talk about like not knowing what team he's training with at the moment and things like that. I want to bring it back to you because I know past interviews I've seen of you talk about like obviously not just being at one gym and you talk a lot about building a team. I kind of want to ask you on that, like what is the process behind the team that you've built around yourself, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So for me, the process is really, so we'll start with where I started, which was Evolution Gym. And I've been there since day one, literally the first gym that I walked into. And I think I was really blessed in that I walked into a gym and came across a coach that just absolutely has the right mindset that meshes well with mine to be able to guide me to where I need to go. And the funny thing is, I didn't walk into the gym and there happened to be heaps of fighters. He was sort of going more down a commercial route at the time and wanting to do, just sort of like the commercial classes and stuff like that. But over time, we just sort of, just started building this, this fight resume and just built these goals together. And it sort of never looked back really from there. And so his name's Adrian Adozade. So for me, the mindset and the sort of approach of the coach is really important as well. Like I've, as you do with, different disciplines like strength and conditioning, the other martial arts, different sparring partners and stuff, you come across people and it doesn't click. And I think sometimes it's easy just to stay with them to avoid the drama of changing or stepping out of your comfort zone and going somewhere else. But I think it's really important just to be able to make changes and go to different places if the need be. So, one of the changes I made was with my strength and conditioning, going to Ethos. I was at somewhere else before and it wasn't a bad place, but it was a bit more of like a CrossFit sort of place. And that was more, breaking the body down and not being right for training. Whereas Ethos is all just about building it up and making sure that you can focus on the primary objective, which is obviously the martial arts side of it. And you've obviously met Mir, and I'm sure you know what the Ethos, culture is all about. And it's,
well, I was going to ask you, because obviously I tried to ask Mia what he's putting in the water to get all you guys to like get over there and stick, but like, and he gave me a little bit of a lowdown, but like from an athlete's point of view, what is it about Ethos that I guess gravitates towards you to bring you back? Because as I say, like when it comes to the scene over here, he's literally, I guess, like the fight dietitian, he's got the who's who, right? And it doesn't matter if it's MMA, boxing, kickboxing. It just seems like anyone that's involved in any sort of combat sports, I mean, obviously I do say Sydney-based. You don't have guys flying down from Queensland every day, but it seems like he's really got a hold of that market. So like from an athlete's perspective, what is it like, or as I say, what's he putting in the water?
Okay, so I think what attracts you probably or gets your attention first is that he is working with these big name sort of people. So, before I joined, I saw that he was working with George Kambosos, working with Tyson Pedro. So that straight away attracts your attention because these guys are fighting on a high level. They're well-known guys and they're putting their trust in this person. And I also had some friends that were there and they'd spoke highly. So then you go there but that's a superficial thing really, because that doesn't really mean much. And if you go there, the coaching's rubbish and it's just not a good environment. So, but as soon as you go in there, you like everything. So first things first, they do an assessment on you. So then straight away, all your programs are tailor-made to what your body needs to be able to adapt and grow and become athletically, reach the potential, your highest potential. So there's that side of it, which is you go in there knowing that you're actually building yourself up, and you don't really have those doubts that you're ever breaking yourself down. Whereas, when I've done other strength and conditioning, you're kind of thinking, oh, is this right? Like, I feel like I'm injuring myself doing this. I feel like this is not going to be able to benefit my other training. And then there's just the element that whether you're, about to fight for the unified belts, as George Kambosos is, or you're a bloke that's, some of our guys from Evolution Gym go there and they're about to have their amateur debut, but they put the same care in it. The coaches put the same care and attention into each one of those people. And it doesn't matter who you are when you step in there. As soon as you're part of the team, you're an ethos athlete and you're going to be looked after, and you can be confident that you're going to be getting the best, not service, but, the best coaching that you possibly can get. So, and then I guess all that's great. And then you've got all that base, that core stuff that is the most important thing about the coaching. And then they just market themselves so well. They do the social media so well. So you've got such a great offering, and then it's promoted to everyone. Everyone knows about them. So, how can you not have the who's who when you've got just ticking all the boxes like that?
But I have to ask you, talking about social media and obviously them customizing their program around you. I was actually on their socials this morning, and there's a clip which obviously will go back to the Conor McGregor as well. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but there was a little bit of touch butt going on in there, and I want to know what was going on there. Were they cute? Or are you denying that was actually you? Because as I say, you don't actually see you, but they've tagged your name in it. So what was going on there?
I think that was just me happy with, happy with his creation. He's been trying to get me to grow some glutes for a while. So he was just showing off what he's been working on for the past couple of years. But I don't know where you're going with that. And then I remember, because I saw that he'd tagged me in a few stories, but I came straight from there to here and I hadn't had time to look. But I do remember something being filmed when I was warmed up, so I assume that's what you were talking about. But yeah, no, it was me. I'll have to look at the video to see if I'm proud of if it was me or not. But yeah, it was. It's good fun there as well. We have a laugh. Like we got big characters in there, and it's not, everyone trains hard, but it's also having a laugh and enjoying it. So when you go in there, you just know that your spirit's going to be lifted and you're going to get good work in. So yeah.
Nice. Now you also say through that gym, you've got athletes like Tyson and Tai Tuivasa.
Yeah.
Did you know them before you were going to that gym, or was that like a relationship you now built at the gym?
That was a relationship I built at the gym. So, and that's the other good thing about it, is that you go in there and it's just you're networking and you're meeting all these high level people. So then, you start training with them, and then your game's elevated. So it's another attraction, an attraction point for people, or a selling point for people to go there, is that you're going to be, like a few of the boxers spar with George Kambosos, and, the MMA guys get to spar together. The kickboxers will spar with some of the box. Like it all just works out, and your team and your access to high level athletes is just increased by going there as well. So yeah.
Because I could be wrong, but I do believe, I don't know if I read it or if I saw it in another video, you ended up actually being part of Bam Bam's fight camp at some point, and it even took you across the fight island, or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, so how did that come about?
So before his fight for UFC Melbourne against the Russian, I can't remember the guy's name that he fought, but I just started sparring with him a bit for that one. And then, so that went well. We got good rounds in. And then during COVID, he called me up, and he was staying in Newcastle at the time. And he just said that he was fighting Stefan Struve. And, when you're in Australia and you need a tall kickboxer, there's any one person to call. So yeah, he called me, and I just went and just sparred with him. And I think the fight kept on getting pushed back. So I mean, we were sparring and training from sort of June to October, and for me it was perfect because there weren't any fights going on, and I was getting just good quality rounds, twice a week for all of that time. So I felt like I really elevated my game. And then he took me across to Fight Island in October, which was an awesome experience.
And do you want to talk a little bit about that experience? Because I mean, not many. We all see Fight Island, but we don't. None of us actually get to go over there, especially in the current stage. I'm sure once the borders open, it'll become a bit of a holiday destination. But I guess that's what they're banking on by obviously the deals that they've made with the UFC, because it is more or less like a tourism ad for Abu Dhabi and such. But from you, what was the experience like? Because obviously the videos that I've seen, I always say it kind of looks like a sci-fi flick, especially when you first arrive, with the guys with the hazmat suits and then all the testings that they do and things like that. But from your end, what was the experience like?
Yeah, it was obviously it was exciting because it just sort of at a time when nothing was really happening. Well, a lot was happening, but at the same time, nothing was really happening in terms of being able to fight and stuff like that. So yeah, it was. I mean, first we got the whole pretty much the whole plane to ourselves on the way over there, which was pretty cool. And for me being tall, just good to be able to stretch out and not have to worry about being crammed in next to people.
Did they put you at the front of the plane?
No, it was economy, but it was like the three of us in the whole thing. So it felt like a private plane with however many seats, 200 seats or whatever it was. But yeah, no, it was. And then obviously getting there, I mean, it was a cool experience. You're pretty locked down, obviously, because you get there, you're led pretty much straight from the plane. There's no one in the airport. You're led all the way through the airport. There's sort of the guards or the escorts don't leave your side. You get on the bus, and then you're in there, and then straight away I think we probably got tested first, and then get taken to our room where you got to stay for 2 days. And I was sharing a room with Tai, which was and locking him up for 2 days without being able to leave is I wouldn't recommend it. But no, it was a good time. There's obviously a lot of laughs as well. But yeah, and then so obviously locked up for 2 days, and you're not seeing too much. But then you go from being locked up from 2 days, and me not having been to a UFC event before, like the other boys were laughing at me. Tai and then his coach Stevie Ashby were laughing at me because I was just like a kid in a candy shop, just excited to go and do the things all the time. And as soon as we got let out of our 2 day quarantine, we go down to the buffet breakfast, and it's just filled with like all the UFC fighters down there. And it was actually at the time when Khamzat was really popular and had been fighting really regularly. And I hadn't seen anyone but Tai for 2 days. So you're a bit off anyway, because you're just sort of, you know what I mean? Like you've just been locked away for 2 days and you haven't seen anyone else. So I was just sort of looking around, and then I'm eating, and then someone sits opposite us. And I remember I was just, and I looked up, and then when you like do the double take, because you realize, and I realized it was Khamzat, and I just did the double take like that. But he happened to be looking at me just as I did it. So it was just the cringiest. I was like, oh man. That's your first impression on Fight Island. But then he was cool. Like he came and introduced himself to Tai and shook all our hands and stuff like that. But after those those first few moments, I relaxed, and you got used to seeing everyone around, and everyone was really friendly. And then you just start realizing that everyone's just a normal person, and they're no different to anyone else. They're just fighting at or they're competing at a higher level, and they've actually gone through the same process and the same ranks as you have to get there. So that was really cool to see. Yeah. Please
tell me you went on the racetrack. Every single person that has gone to Fight Island, they talk about the racetrack, but no one actually takes advantage of it.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't go on the racetrack. There were people practice. I found it weird because there were people practicing on it sort of every day. just with the, you know, the smaller like practice cars on there. And they were just noisy as, but no, we didn't. I don't know. And then it was weird as well because the racetrack goes through the hotel, and then we're in the hotel, and then one night there was about, like, I'd say 1,000 people like running around, like jogging around it and on their bikes and walking around it, which was kind of going through our bubble. Like we were in a bubble, but then all these people from the outside were just allowed to go through the track, which was going through the hotel. So yeah, no, it didn't go on the racetrack.
And I have to ask, just because Ty's a bit of a character, like being locked up for 2 days with him.
Yeah.
Was it hard? Like, were you? Did you guys get into any sort of like was he itching for a fight, or what was going on? Like, because I know he sometimes does some crazy things and stuff. Like, what was that 2 days like?
No, it was pretty mellow. Like, we've got that relationship. We've got a funny relationship. Like it's like little brother, older brother. So he just rips on me the whole time, and then I try and give it back, but my banter's just not as sharp. So I just end up copping the bad end of it. But no, he was fine. He just wanted to get out there and obviously focus for the fight. The real struggle was the 2 weeks after, when we got back to Sydney and we had to stay in the quarantine for 2 weeks then, because he'd obviously won and he was itching to get out and celebrate, but he was locked up with us. And we had a few little arguments then. But probably about one a day. But
well, I guess the difference there is instead of 2 days, it's 2 weeks. But I mean, the positive on that is the 2 days he probably wasn't throwing down shoeies, where in the 2 weeks he probably could have a couple of beers, right?
Yeah. Had a few beers in the 2 weeks after. Not too many actually. I think he saves it for when he can actually party and go hard. But yeah. But it was hard for the 2 weeks afterwards because I was actually training for a fight. So I had a fight 2 weeks after we got out of quarantine. So I was just in full fight camp mode, doing 2 sessions a day. I was lucky, like we had a Meriton suite with 3 bedrooms. So we got lucky. We had a big space. We had all weights delivered, mats delivered, equipment delivered. So Stevie, Conor, we call him, was holding pads for me and putting me through a training camp in quarantine. And then Tai was just ordering Uber Eats and just enjoying the post-fight, the post-win.
Yeah. All right, so let's get back to you though. So obviously you go to Evolution. Was it always your sort of, I guess, first pick to do kickboxing? I guess, like, when we talk about the martial arts, like, why kickboxing?
It was actually, well, the reason the 2 fighters that I liked the most, and probably, so the one that I was a fan of beforehand, before Conor McGregor, was actually Anthony Joshua, the heavyweight boxers. I'm sure the listeners will know. And it was at the time when he was coming up, and I was actually born in England, so get patriotic and support the local fighters from there. But and just because of the way he looks, and he was just knocking everyone out. I was just always watching his highlights and stuff like that. And I was keen to start training boxing around that time. And then it was when I saw McGregor knock out Aldo, and I was actually in a bar in Manly, and everyone was just going crazy when it happened. And I just thought, that was the little spark that made me go, okay, I'm going to sign up for a gym. And I originally wanted to find a boxing gym. Evolution had boxing, but they had got rid of it, I think, and we're just going to focus on kickboxing. So, but that old timetable said boxing, and then I inquired, and then Adrian said, oh no, we've only got kickboxing. So, okay, well, I'll come and try kickboxing that. And then I think it was honestly probably the perfect sport for me to start in, because I'm just all legs as well. Like, my legs are just like that of someone that's 7 foot tall. So yeah, kickboxing was probably it was just one of those things that was meant to happen, I think.
Now that you bring up AJ, I hate doing this right now. Like, as I say, I always do the fight picks at the end, but yeah. I have to ask you now, and being from England, obviously they haven't announced it officially yet, but all the talks right now is obviously it will be the Gypsy King and AJ. Who are you backing on that one, and how do you see that one play out?
Oh, it's another. I'm so bad with fight picks. Because I just know that there's just so many different sides to it, but I don't know. The Gypsy King just looks so hard to beat. You know what it was? When I was watching So I think what plays into AJ's favor is that he's fought more recently. So he fought Pulev in December. But when I was watching him fight Pulev, I was just thinking that he looked good. And look, to be fair, you can only fight to the level of, the person that you're fighting. It's hard to, unless you're, he knocked him out. He didn't really get hurt. He did what he needed to do. But just looking at how, Tyson Fury just took away Deontay Wilder like that, I think, and had no fear towards what Wilder could do to him. I think Fury's going to be hard to beat, but I can see it being a war. I don't think AJ won't. Yeah, it'll be a war. I'd say at the moment I'm thinking that Fury will probably edge it, if I'm honest. And it's one of those, I love Fury as well, so whoever wins, I'll kind of be happy with. And there's going to be I think there'll be a second and third fight as well. I think they'll just milk that as much as they possibly can. Yeah.
Which is crazy. I mean, I respect the honesty, but it's crazy that your favorite kind of fighters are AJ and Conor.
Yeah.
And you've picked both of them to lose. I'm just putting it out there. But I mean, I respect the honesty. I mean, sometimes, as I say, especially like if you're a betting person, I always say you got to take your heart out of it, right? So obviously you started with the kickboxing. Is it your intention to always remain in kickboxing, or do you think you'll end up, coming across to the dark side?
The dark side being MMA as opposed to boxing. But I think I've got big goals with what I want to do for kickboxing and in kickboxing. So I think just to be the person and the fighter that I want to be, MMA's going to have to be MMA's the goal, the next step of that goal. There'll be some boxing, involved in there as well. And because I think for me, it's about, not necessarily focused on making millions of dollars, not necessarily focused on trying to become famous or anything. It's just, for me, it was, a word that I've been using a lot the past couple of weeks is mastery, especially after seeing Jiri. I can't pronounce it. Is it Prahachya? The last name of.
I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
Because the same thing. Like my number one fear when I run these things is butchering someone's name. Yeah. I'll either do exactly what you say, Yuri. That's it. We know who we're talking about, yeah. Or I'll try to find a nickname or something like that. But that's probably my worst concern. But yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Okay. Cool. Well, yeah, no, he was, and I liked how in his post-fight speech, he was saying about, the ego side of him, there's the temptations to use the money that he won for, women and the cars and stuff like that. But what does his true self want to do? And his true self would want to lock himself away in a forest and just focus on just mastery. And then all that other stuff will come if you want it. If you achieve, if you achieve that mastery, all that other stuff will come. So that's what I'm focusing on at the moment. And for me to achieve mastery, I think it's challenging myself, stepping out of my comfort zone. Winning world titles in kickboxing, but also having boxing fights, having Muay Thai fights, and then stepping into MMA as one of the best strikers that the sport's ever seen.
I guess though, like obviously talking about the timeline as well. So you said you started at 20, you're now 26. Like when you kind of, and I know you can't predict these things, but when you're kind of looking at that timeline, have you got sort of goals? Like have you said to yourself, in the next 2 years I want to take up boxing, and then by the time I guess 30, I'll be in the MMA. Do you ever think about things like that, or are you just more like we'll see how it runs, or are you one to, as I say, plan ahead?
Yeah, I do plan ahead. I remember a few years ago I wrote some goals down for the kickboxing in terms of ages of what I wanted to be, and I've just done all those things a lot earlier than I thought I would, and so I haven't put times down and dates down for the other things. I think I know what I like to do is I just sort of push myself every day and do as much work as I possibly can towards things. I feel like I'm good at doing that, and obviously I need to spark the ignition a little bit more with some things, but I find that I like to also go off feel of when the time feels right to start doing things. I think like this year, I really want to just pick up how much I'm fighting and just be really as active as much as possible. And that because that feels right for this time, as opposed to trying to, maybe a few years ago when I was still learning, I need to take a little bit time between fights and learn. But now it feels like if I could fight every month, every third week, I would do that. And that sort of feels like the right time for now, and not forcing myself in that sort of thing. So I think when I'm already working towards those things now, like the transition to MMA and stuff like that. I'm doing some little, behind the scenes training sessions that aren't making their way to social media yet, but so things are happening. So I think, it's just when the time's right, I'll be able to step in there.
And talking about remaining active and stuff like that. So when you turned pro and then, as I say, COVID hit, how hard was that initial period like to stay motivated? I mean, because I know like a lot of people, when they've got fights coming up and as you say, they stay active, it's very easy because you're like, okay, well, I got to stay motivated because otherwise I'm going to get my ass handed to me, right? But like when you have that period that we all had where basically we don't even know, the next time we can go to a wedding, for instance, like it was really at that point. How did you let yourself go a little bit, or did you remain motivated? And if so, where did that kind of drive come from?
If I'm being completely honest, I didn't let myself go at all during lockdown. I think it's because I focused on that, and it wasn't a word that I was thinking of at the time, but it was that concept of mastery. And it was, what's the goal? What's the goal? The goal is not to be what. If I like I've had this discussion with a few friends recently. If you like look back on what lockdown was and take away, the pandemic and the fear that brought, and obviously the struggling and the anxiety of not really knowing what's coming next. But what I was doing during lockdown was probably the perfect way that I could live my life to achieve that mastery and achieve what I wanted to achieve. Like I was just, and because I had those, those goals in the forefront of my mind, I was able just to stay disciplined. And I wrote out a daily plan of what I needed to do. And it was like, wake up, do my morning routine, which is like Wim Hof breathing, meditation. So I made sure I do that. Then the next thing was, okay, go and train. So I had a plan from Ethos that I could incorporate all the stuff I had at home. Did my plan from Ethos. And it was like, during the day, I've got to analyze 3 fights. I've got to read 2 chapters of the book I'm reading. I've got to, and make sure I was ticking all those things off. And then it was go and train in the evening. And I was lucky that I had a key to Evolution Gym and no one else was using it. So I felt comfortable that it wasn't going to be, contaminated by anything, because we didn't really know what was going on with the whole COVID thing. So I knew I was the only one using it. And I was just putting in like 2-hour training sessions there, working on technique and the stuff that I'd analyzed from the fights that I'd analyzed, and then come home, do my recovery routine. And I was literally just, that's all I did every single day of, and then had Sundays off, and I just stuck to that routine. And probably the main thing it did was just kept my mental health just in check, because I felt like I was leveling up and evolving and just ready for whatever was coming next. And then 2, I was just, it created a thing of like, now I know that whatever happens, I'm going to be able to have that discipline, because even when the world's crumbling around, I'm still, and it might look crazy to someone else, but for me, it was like the most sensible thing I could do. Just make that routine and work towards the next thing. And I truly feel like I came out of that lockdown period just like completely leveled up person and fighter. So, yeah.
I love the fact that at the top of your list is get up. That's an important one. Like I love the fact that that's actually on your list. I got to wake up. That's an important one. I mean, come on.
You got to start your day.
That's it. But I have to ask you, like, obviously after having that time off, even though you remained somewhat motivated and as you said, you leveled up, did you experience any ring rust once the time was to get back in there? Like, and I guess what I mean by that is, like, obviously, you know, you, whether it be amateurs or pros, you were pretty active, and then you have this layoff. And as I said, I mean, everyone had the layoff, but was it a different feeling? Like, and I'm talking about the first fight back. Was there definitely a different feeling?
So there wasn't really. I think I felt way better, which was good. I mean, so there was a layoff. It was so March to November. So what's that? That's about 9 months.
Yeah, 9 months.
So it wasn't too long. And I think the reason that I felt so good was because I'd been sparring with Tai, and then we'd been getting other good sparring partners in, like Sam K, who's just won the Hex heavyweight title. He's been a top sparring partner of mine for a while, and just sparring all people like that. I mean, the rounds that Tai and I were having were, we'd be at Anthony Perosh's at AP's gym in the cage there and have sort of quite a crowd of people around, and we were having like really competitive, like high paced rounds. So, I mean, and I was getting nervous before those, like I would before any fight, because I just knew that, Thailand's a clean one and it can be good night. So I think I'd just been, because I'd been in that environment. And then I think going to Fight Island just made me feel so confident as well, because I'd sort of been at that pinnacle, been around, seeing people like Khabib and, being in that environment of feeling the nerves for Tai, knowing that it was a pretty high pressure situation for him, and being in that back room with him, and then walking out and, seeing Bruce Buffer and then Stefan Struve is over there and all those things. I felt like those sort of experiences just helped me level up, and if ring rust exists, just shake any of that ring rust that was off and just get me in that sort of peak state that I needed to be in. So I felt it was weird. I don't know, some fights, like my last fight, I felt a bit heavy, and I felt, but that one fight, that first fight after the COVID times, I just felt, it was just one of those where everything just felt light. And then when I'd hit him with something, it felt like, it was like every time I hit him was just like hitting the sweet spot, and I could just see the damage it was doing. That was a good feeling. And I think what happened in the last fight, although I won it, it was closer than I would have liked it to be. And I think I was expecting it to feel like the fight before, and then when it didn't, I could feel myself. It's like, oh, well, I didn't have a plan B. That was my plan A, that it was going to feel like that. So I had to adjust on the fly. So, yeah.
I have to ask you then, like, out of your 12 fights, as I said, you're 12-0. What has been your toughest fight, and why?
I'll say the last one for sure. And it was because, so Milos, he's been around for a long time, had a lot of pro fights, and I think he's won the King of the Ring, a 4-man King of the Ring before, and stuff like that. So he's experienced, and he was a good opponent, and I knew he'd be tough. And the first 3 rounds, I was, I felt like I was, just outclassing him. But then my work rate started to drop off in the 4th and 5th, and his was just maintained. So I feel like in the 4th, and he definitely won the 4th and 5th rounds, because, and not that I was taking heaps of damage, because I felt my defense and movement was still pretty good. But the main thing I was noticing was, because I hadn't been pushed to that point in a fight before, and that's probably the hardest I'd ever been pushed in my life. My mind hadn't been to that spot before, so I could feel my mind starting to crumble, and the little doubts creeping in, because I guess it was at a breaking point. It was at somewhere that it hadn't been before, and it felt more like the rounds 4 and 5 of that fight felt more like a battle of my mind and my mentality more than anything else. And I think that's why it was so difficult. And I wouldn't say at any point he hurt me. Like, he didn't, I've been rocked in a couple of fights before, not badly, not being dropped or anything like that, but being flashed. And I didn't get that in this fight. I didn't really get any big body shots that made me, lose my breath. But it was more just that, the relentless pace that he was setting, and just knowing that he was just tough and he wasn't going away. So I had to hang on and sort of battle with my mind in those last rounds. So, yeah.
And is it purely a cardio thing? Like, so you're saying that was the only time you did a 5-round fight, right?
First 5 3-minute rounds. I've done 5-round before, but it was 2-minute rounds.
Yeah, so it was purely a cardio thing?
I don't know if it was cardio. It was more, I feel like my cardio is good and my conditioning is good. Like I've always had, you can ask me, I've got all the conditioning records at Ethos. I know, no, Tyson's got 1, but I've got 2 of them, which I always throw in his face. But
so what? Ty's a cardio king?
no, Tyson.
Oh, Tyson,
not Ty.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say, damn, I wasn't expecting that.
Nah,
okay, Tyson.
But he's fit. Ty's fit. Like he's not unfit. Like he's an athlete. He's good. He's good. But Tyson's fit. Tyson's an athlete. Yeah.
Are we going to see him back soon? Like
Yeah.
what's going on with Tyson?
He'll be back. He'll be back soon. I think September they're looking around that time. So he's looking good. I've sparred him a bit a few months ago, and he's always dangerous. So he's leveled up in the time he's been. You know, he's just stayed in the gym and stayed disciplined and been rehabbing and doing the rehab properly. So yeah.
And going back to the 5-round fights, would you prefer, I guess, if more fights were 5-round, or are you happy to go back down, or you know what I'm saying? Like, because obviously with the MMA side of things, we always talk about that the main event is 5-round or title fights are 5-round. And the problem I see with that is if you're a champion, you've done 5, 6 sort of defenses, you're used to that 5-round grind, right? Which means anyone that's coming up to challenge you, as you say, suddenly they get to rounds 4 and 5, and it kind of feels like they're in deep water because whether they haven't paced themselves correctly or something like that. Would you like to see, I guess, more 5-round fights just in general?
I think the only problem, I think in theory it would be good, but I think the problem would be that it's like, if you had a whole UFC card or a card that was all 5-round fights, it would just, you'd have to have the
event would go for 2 days.
Yeah,
like that's the problem. And I totally see that. But I mean, for instance, like they're thinking about making, or they're not thinking, they are going to make this Diaz Edwards fight a 5-rounder, and it's not going to be the main event or anything. So I'm just saying, like, maybe, when they, as I say, either a title fight or a main event fight, what if we go from now on main events and co-main events, regardless if there's a title involved, just so, because obviously if you're in the co-main event, you're kind of like heading towards that maybe title shot picture. And I'm just saying to kind of condition yourself, because you could probably speak more on it, but it is a different game, right? Like adding those extra 2 rounds, it kind of throws you down the deep end.
100%. No, yeah, I think that's good. Yeah. That would be good doing that. And it's like a progression sort of thing. So it's, when I guess they do that well in boxing, don't they? Because they start with 4 threes and then they go
6, 8, 10,
12. And then they used to have 15, didn't they? But then they got rid of that. But yeah, I think that would make sense. And you could just literally, like you said, you go from either a 3-round fight and then maybe, the top 3 fights on a card are just 5-rounders. I think the fans would like that as well, because there are some fights you're just like, I wish they went for another 2 rounds.
And look, it ain't mean that it's going to go 5 rounds. I mean, you could still finish it in 2 rounds, right? Like, I mean, look at Usman right now, what he did, right? It's, I guess, and the other question on that, since you said the fans would like it, there's a little thing that I kind of came up with, and I just want to get a fighter's perspective. All right. Right, so we have a 3-round fight at the moment. Just, this is hypothetical, right? And it ends up in a draw.
Yeah.
I know Josh Coulibaly was kind of really defeated with that, right? Like when I had him on, he said he was really defeated, obviously as well, because he felt like he was only going to get his show purse because obviously he didn't win. It was a draw. As a fighter, are you happy with a draw, or would you prefer to go, look, on the off chance that there's a draw, and it's not like it happens often, we go into a sudden death round. So basically, if it's a 3-round fight, it could potentially end up a 4-round fight. And I guess even with a title, if it's a 5-round fight and for whatever reason it's a draw, we have a sudden death kind of 6-round. How do you feel about something like that?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think they used to do that in, I don't know if they still do that in Glory. they used to do it in K1, in the K1 Grand Prix. Yeah, and it would just be, yeah, you can't. How can you have a fight finish on a draw? Because it's not a draw, really, is it? Like, it's not. You can't draw a fight. I don't think. Like, there is a winner. So I think you've got to find that winner. And yeah, especially if it goes to an extra round, then and you've got to dig deep and you're banged up, and that will. I mean, the reasons people wouldn't want to do it is because it's, oh, well, I've only prepared for 3 rounds and, I'm injured and whatever. But so, yeah, but we're fighters. Like, it's about testing yourself and challenging yourself. So, yeah, I like it. Extra round.
And also, there's your chance of getting your win purse, right? Because at the end of the day, once again, that's deflating too. And I get it. Like, one fighter will fight that extra round and not get the win purse, but I feel like there's kind of an incentive there, right? Like, you want that win. And also, like, I mean, you want the win on your record, I guess. It's just sort of an idea that's kind of been playing in the back of my mind, like that. I just wish, as I say, and look, it's not like we have draws that often, right? It's literally like once every blue moon, and I just think like we need to get an answer, kind of thing. I want an answer. I don't want to rebook it down the track or whatever. I just want to see who would win that fight, you know. But look, I'll start to kind of like diet down a little bit, but I want to ask you. So you said you got a fight coming up in how long?
It'll be 4 weeks on Saturday. So just over 4 weeks.
So how is that fight camp traveling? Do you know much about your opponent? No,
fight camp's good. Sort of, so the opponent is, his name's Samad. I'll butcher his last name, so I won't attempt his last name. But he's from Melbourne. Is
the fight in Melbourne or up here?
No, it's here. It's in Bankstown in Yagoona. So I think that's near Bankstown. But yeah, on Showtime Promotion. So Shardy from, I can't remember his last name either, but he's from Sydney Fight Gym. And yeah, Samad, he's fought a couple of people that I know. He's good, tough, like will keep coming forward, good hands, sort of high work rate. So yeah, I like that style. He'd sort of been on my radar because he'd fought up around, I'd seen him fight a few times around 86 kilograms. And so I just knew that he was a potential opponent. And when we couldn't find one, his name popped in my head. So I just said to the promoter, I'll try and get this guy. And he took it So he took the fight, which was good. And yeah, fight camp's been good. I've, trying to get good sparring in, try and, spar people that are going to challenge me. We do a lot of evolution. We do a lot of partner drills and flow drills. And I think that's what's really helped develop my style. So obviously doing all that sort of stuff, training at Ethos, doing my conditioning work. We do this thing called at Evolution called Survival of the Fittest now, which is a nice little play on words because like Evolution Gym and then the theory of evolution, Survival of the Fittest. So I thought that was pretty cool. But basically it's 5-minute rounds. It's kind of like the spider that they do at City Kickboxing. And this is what Ty's coach Stevie Asprey had me doing in quarantine. It was basically so you do a 5-minute round, 5-minute rounds, and every minute of the round is a different type of exercise. And you're just emptying the tank every single minute. So after about the second minute, you feel rubbish. So it's essentially just a mental battle, and it's just trying to get you in that worst possible mental state and being able to push through that. And I think doing that is what helped me get through that last fight that I was in, because when you're in the last couple of rounds of the Survival of the Fittest, your mind's just looking for ways out, just ways of trying to drop off the pace or reasons why you can quit, but you just, tell it to shut up and keep on pushing. And that helped me in that fight that I had a few weeks ago. But yeah, so just doing those things for camp, and I enjoy fight camp because it's it's about the journey and just who you become through it. And
so is this another 5-round fight?
This is a 3-round.
3-round?
Yeah.
So how confident are you?
Yeah, always confident. I feel
I guess what I'm asking is obviously every fighter goes in with confidence.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're in the wrong business. But do you looking at him? Once again, I don't know how well you know him, but does he bring any problems?
Yeah, he's got a couple of knockouts. He's got a high work. I watch. I wouldn't want to fight him if he was a scrub. Like I wouldn't have asked for him. So he, you know, he does bring problems, but you know, that's what excites me. The fights where I get to get challenged, and I know that he's going to be tough and keep coming forward. So, but in terms of confidence, I just always I back myself to always be able to find a way to win, even if it's going badly, because that's all I've done so far. I've just won, and you know they've been against challenging opposition and people that have brought threats. And also I just feel, you know, confident that I'm just a unique type of fighter. So it's very sort of the only time you're ever going to, you know, experience what it's like to, you know, someone similar to me is when you're actually fighting me. So I think that always plays well into my hands as well, because, you know, those first few rounds, you're trying to figure out what's going on and where the kicks are coming from and the movement patterns and stuff like that. So
not even that. Like the one thing I noticed about you is you like to throw a lot of knees straight up the middle, and like to the point when we're talking about your height issue, like your kind of knees down the middle are literally like other people's teep kicks, right?
Yeah.
Like, which comes with the size advantage, I guess.
The knees have probably been my best weapon of just, I've had some pretty, the first time I got like a knee sort of knockout, the guy was just on the ground for just 5 minutes just, and I was sort of, it was still like early on in my career. So I was like, oh, what have I done? But it was just like and then from that moment on, I've just had that, you know, it's like when you just got to, you know, someone with like a big left hand, like say like Conor's left hand, he knows that if he lands it, it can change a fight. Like I just know with my knees that as soon as I land a clean one, I know that it's going to be in their head that could be coming again. And especially with the knee, because it's in a funny range where it's like when people get in that range, they're normally just worried about, you know, punches or elbows, but then the knee, and then their attention just goes away from the legs, but then the knee will just sort of crack into your liver, and then it's, yeah.
And I mean, I have to say, you got very good technique with that. Like,
thank you.
Right, like, and as I say, like, you really extend your hips and everything, and push it forward, and that's why I say, like, if I was going to put money on the fight, the money would be that you're going to throw knees, because I just see every time you're fighting like that comes out multiple times per round, like, and it's clean, like it's a very clean technique. Look, what I want to do is I want to try to open up to Clubhouse, which is a little app. As I say, we've been experimenting, but it works sometimes, it doesn't. We had a couple of technical issues a few weeks back, so I don't even know if you know, we will get something. But let's just open up the lines and see if anyone is actually out there. If you're in Clubhouse, say hello.
Hey, Dennis.
Okay. There we go. So yeah, Clubhouse seems to be working today, which is always a positive. So yeah, I'm just going to open the floor to you guys. Is there anything that you guys want to throw at Charles here, or Charlie, depending on which way you want to refer to him? I mean, you know, you've just listened for the last hour, so I guess they're close enough to call you Charlie.
Yeah, for sure.
Ladies first, Gloria.
Oh, hey. Yeah, you mentioned that you were talking about a fight and where you kind of found the sweet spot, and you just, like, when you were banging it, you know, it just landed, or it was productive. I'm just wondering, like, what, you know, how do you get to that spot more often?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, it was funny, and with that fight as well, what I'd call that fight, like the sweet spot, I felt like I was in the flow state. It was, you know, it was when, and even just with like I finished him in the second round, and it was kind of like when I wasn't thinking, like I wasn't sort of consciously thinking, but when I was flowing through the movements, the first shot I hit him with was that dropped him was a liver shot, a liver punch, and I remember just like something just popping into my head that said liver shot, and I just sort of, as soon as it popped in, I just hit it, and the opening was there, and he dropped, and then when I finished him with a head kick, and the same sort of thing happened. It just, something in my head just said head kick, and I just knew that the opening would be there to land and finish it. But getting into that spot more regularly, I'm not sure, because my camp for that one was weird. I was in quarantine for 2 weeks, and then I only had two or 3 weeks of training, and then in like my second sparring session, I broke my toe. So I stopped sparring, and then my toe was a problem. So it was a weird camp. But so I think, so probably going into the fight, I just sort of let go of any expectations. I just thought, okay, well, camp's been a bit rubbish. I've got this foot injury, so I can't kick with my left as much. So I'm just going to go in there, just let go and see what happens. So I think probably trying to get into that spot more. I've got to try, or for anyone, it would be more about letting go rather than trying to hold on to an expectation of how, because when you hold on to the expectation of how a fight's going to go, when it doesn't go that way, that's when you start panicking. But if you've got no expectations, you can just flow with it and let whatever you've been working on or whatever's inside you come out and perform. So yeah, I'd say letting go of expectations would be how to get back into that spot more, if that makes sense.
Let me ask you this though, just to follow up on that. Do you go in with a game plan to these fights, or because I know obviously once again going back to your Conor McGregor, he famously said he doesn't really like game plans purely because of that. He said you can go in with a game plan, something unexpected happens, and then you kind of feel lost because obviously it wasn't part of the game plan. So you as a fighter, do you go in with a game plan and then adjust? Do you not go in with a game plan and just decide on the fly? Like what's your kind of like, I guess, way of what's your mindset going into fights?
Yeah, I'd say I don't go in with a game plan. I sort of have a few things we drill so many things during camp, and then of sort of things that we think will land or things that we just want to put into my game and work on. And then when I actually go into the fight, it's more just about, I'd say my fight IQ is pretty high. So I'm more about, the first round sort of making reads, seeing where the openings are, and then just letting them flow from there. So yeah, I think I don't really like the idea of game plans, and I've never really sort of bought into them because I just think, it's that expectation of, because it's like, well, how many game plans can you have? Okay, if that doesn't work, then what? Do I have a B? Do I have a C? Do I have a D? And then how far do you go until you're like, okay, well now I've just got to adapt anyway. And so, yeah, I'd say I wouldn't. Yeah.
Fair play. Do we have anything else from Clubhouse?
Yeah, definitely, Dennis. Dennis, I have a question. I have actually a follow-up question pending the answer. Charlie, have you done a shoey?
I actually don't drink, so I haven't done a shoey. That's what's the funny thing as well, that people, spending time with Tai. Tai likes, obviously, his shoeys and drinking and partying, and yeah, I don't really do. I'm just on the waters. So yeah, so no shoeys for me.
I mean, that's cool, man. I respect that. I'll follow up with something different since the answer was no. You spoke a bit about sort of like the idea of forward thinking, right? And we've seen kickboxers transition to MMA, most successfully being Izzy, right? If we look at it recently, at least. What do you think about the lead up time and the preparation time for the grappling aspect? I'm not sure if you have any grappling background or experience, but knowing that that potentially is the plan, where do you see yourself in the need to prepare yourself for grappling while being in the middle of a fight?
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously, the grappling is obviously a massive part of it. I think how I'm viewing the grappling at the moment is more from the defense sort of aspect. So I want to build my game first and foremost, on the defense, because my main priority is going to be trying to stay on my feet. So if I can have, that first sort of level of defense being the actual takedown defense off the cage in the middle of the ring or the middle of the cage, then that's good. And then slowly build other things from there, as opposed to, building, start trying to learn submissions, even though my main aim is to try and be on the feet. I think I'll, as I'm doing now, learn the defense, that takedown defense, and then start building all the other aspects of the grappling on top of that as well. Because obviously you need to have a well-rounded game, and your grappling in MMA actually builds into your striking as well, and the thread of the grappling. And if people know they can just take you down, then they won't be scared of your striking as well. So, yeah.
I have a follow-up question for Joseph. If the answer was yes to the shoey, what was going to be the follow-up? Were you going to ask him to take a shoey right here, right now?
No, man. I mean, Dennis, you're awesome. No, I was gonna be like, hey, man, I got to know the Shuey story, right? Like felt like that was gonna be a great content. Was tell us the Shuey story.
I'll tell you, I got a pretty, I guess a good Shuey story was straight after I don't know, you might have seen the videos, but after Tai beat Struve, but we're in Abu Dhabi and there's all the sheiks sort of watching as well, and I'm pretty sure is alcohol banned, or there's some...
Yeah, it's a dry country, but they have alcohol. Yep.
Yeah. So they didn't, and I think because of COVID stuff as well, they didn't want Tai to do the shoey in the cage or wherever. So literally, as soon as we walk out of the cage, we're escorted to Dana White's private room, which is just like filled with just the most ridiculous buffet and just luxurious. And then all the Nelk boys are in there as well. And then Ty's just pumped up because he just,
Is the Nelk boys the guys with that Steve Will Do It? Is that the Nelk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were at Fight Island for some reason, and they were just doing weird stuff, like just doing crazy stuff the whole time. But yeah, and then just from, so we got all these COVID restrictions, and then, doing the tests, we did about 6 tests while we're there. We're having the nose swabs and all stuff like that, making sure we're social distancing, masks everywhere. Then straight after Tai wins, he's in Dana White's room with the shoe, getting all the Nelk boys to spit in it, and then doing the shoey there. Just in the it's just a funny situation. Just one of those moments where you're just like I never saw this coming, like this whole environment.
Now, have you ever asked him, because look, growing up in Australia, I will say the shoey, we all know about it. It isn't an uncommon thing. It's a bit uncommon, obviously, to do it as much as Tai does it, but it's not a new thing. Where did the spitting in the shoe come from, though? Do you know
I think it's just like that. I think people just when they're with their mates, they just have competitions of who can do the most ridiculous stuff, and then things just develop from there. Like he's told me other stories of things that his mates will do on these benders that I'm not going to share on a public platform, but yeah, they're pretty wild. I think the shoeys aren't that crazy when you hear those stories. Yeah. Damn.
Do we have any more questions?
I got one more. Charlie, you're 6'8". You're a heavyweight, I imagine, right? In MMA terms.
Middleweight, actually. Sort of. My next fight's at 85 kilos.
God.
Yeah.
All right, that's what I was looking for, Luke. So when you, I was going to ask you because of the sort of success we're seeing with kickboxers transition, right? Not just Izzy, but I was going to ask you about Francis and sort of how you've observed him, but considering you're not a heavyweight, it doesn't seem as applicable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably trying to avoid Francis as much as possible, but no, I think there's a way to beat everyone. So I think it's with Francis, it's obviously at the moment you just got to try not to get hit. And obviously Stipe did that in the first fight. Derek Lewis has done that in their fight when they fought, even though that wasn't really a game plan. There was just not really much action going on there. So I think he definitely can get beaten, but it's I think at the moment he's just got that air of, people are just scared of him at the moment. And I think stepping in there, he's got that sort of Mike Tyson vibe where people just are defeated before the fight because they're focused so much on the damage that he can do that they're not really thinking about what their game plan is going to be. So I think, yeah.
Cool. Have we got any more?
Dominic just joined us, but no, I think I'm good, Dennis. Charlie, great to hear from you, man. I wish you all the best of luck. This is really a great time for us, even if there's only a couple of us in here. We really, really appreciate your time, Dennis and Charlie. We appreciate it.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, I will say we will get onto some, I guess, fight picks, and since we just brought up Francis, I know that there's a toss up at the moment whether it'll be Francis versus Derek number 2, but just being a long rangy fighter the way you are, if the fight gets made between John Jones and Francis. You know, what do you think of that fight? Do you think that Jones has got the tools in the bag to conquer this massive mountain that we all know as Francis, or do you think that power is just going to be too much?
I think it's, yeah, I mean, the thing with Jones, I guess, normally when he fights, he's the longer fighter, I suppose, except when he fought Gustafsson. And I mean, the first time with Gustafsson didn't really go that well for him, and many people thought he lost that fight. I think he's definitely got the tools to be able to beat him, but it's the way that, I think it's Teddy Atlas described Deontay Wilder as having like the eraser, and it just erases all your mistakes of the fight, that power in the right hand. And it's just one of those things where, you know, I guess Francis could be losing the whole fight, but he just lands one clean and it's good night. So I think, yeah, technically, skill wise, Jones has what it takes to beat him. But the thing is with that, when he's got to do that, I don't think he'll finish Francis, so he's got to be able to do that for 5-minute rounds, whereas Francis just needs to land one clean shot. So it always feels like in these situations, the odds are going to be in the favor of someone like Francis. But yeah, Jones definitely has the skills to beat him.
I guess the other thing is, like, Jones is used to having that range, and you know, we always talk about that he's got the longest range in the game, but he only really gives up 1 inch when it comes to Francis. Yeah. So he doesn't have that range that he's used to, I guess, at light heavyweight, right? Yeah.
And I think that would be another problem. And we sort of saw that with Gustafsson. He really struggled the first time. Obviously in the rematch, he just dominated him. But yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, that's a 50-50.
All right. Well, we'll stay with the Australians right now. So we got Alex Volkanovski as a tough coach now. Have you had any sort of doings with Alex Volkanovski?
No, I haven't actually. No.
Okay.
No, yeah.
So you got the Volk, and you got Brian Ortega. They're now going to do this, you know, this journey in the tough house together, and obviously the long-awaited match there. How do you see that one play out, and who do you like on that one?
I think that's a nice matchup for Volkanovski, especially if he strikes in that structured sort of style that he did for the first Holloway fight. I think Ortega looked really good against Korean Zombie, but I think that style matched up nicely for him. So I think Volkanovski, takes out Ortega. I guess really Ortega has a submission game over Volkanovski, but I think he's stronger everywhere else. So I think that should be a good win for the Aussie.
Perfect. Now, we wanted Robert versus Izzy, number 2. We got Izzy versus Marvin, number 2. How do you see that one?
I think similar to... I think Izzy's just going to get in Marvin's head and just make him just be aggressive, and I think it'll just be the matador and the bull sort of situation, like maybe similar to the first Rob fight. I'd say I see that going. I think Izzy's just. I mean, I think the size. Obviously, I mean, I feel like Marvin's almost as big as Jean is, like in terms of like when he refuels as well, but. Yeah, I think Izzy will just be too technical for him.
And I guess this one I'm going to know the answer on, but I just want to obviously get your take on it. Tai, Greg Hardy.
Yeah.
How's Tai looking? I'm assuming you're going to go with Tai on this one, but like how's he looking, and how do you see that fight play out?
I think Tai's just going to be too much for Hardy. I respect Hardy with what he's done. Maybe not necessarily, I don't respect him as a person, but with what he's done in MMA and in the UFC for where he came from with the limited experience he has. But I think it matches up nicely for Tai. I think he's just gonna bust him up. Those leg kicks, and you know, he's improving every time. He's getting so much more structured with his striking. I think the the athleticism advantage actually goes into Tai's favour, because we've seen Hardy, essentially quit from exhaustion as well. So yeah, I think if Tai doesn't finish him quick, I think he can drag him into deep waters, and I think he'll want to just beat him up for the whole fight, to be honest. I think he's keen to do some damage.
Perfect, man. Well, that's pretty much it. So I guess we're going to kind of round it out now. And I always give people the opportunity, obviously, I always say if people kind of want to, well, first and foremost, I will just say when I invited you on, I had no idea you had a fight coming up, right? So first of all, I obviously want to, wish you the best of luck on that fight. If people are wanting to, I guess, tune in, are tickets on sale already, or are they waiting to see what happens with this barbecue guy and the COVID scandal that's going on at the moment? Do you know, are tickets on sale?
Yeah, tickets are on sale. So, I mean, you can purchase them through me or so obviously contacting me via social media, or you can purchase them through Evolution Gym as well. So yeah, I've got ticket details. I'm not sure if there's going to be a live stream of it. If there's not a live stream, I normally live stream through my social media somehow. So yeah, there'll be some form of live stream regardless.
Dana White's going to love you once you make it to the UFC, right? But no, look, so okay, on that, we will round it off. For people that want tickets, or for people that just want to tune into your journey, or just even maybe ask you some questions on socials or whatnot, what's kind of the best way of people reaching out to you, making some sort of contact?
Yeah, Instagram is the one I use the most. So that's _ Charles Joyner. And I've also got a YouTube, and I've got a few vlogs and stuff up there as well, which I think are pretty entertaining. I cop some stick for them sometimes doing the whole vlog thing, but no, they're pretty good. So that, I think, my YouTube's just Charles Joyner, and it's got this logo is the thing, so you'll be able to find it if you search it. But yeah, they're the main two really, Instagram and YouTube.
Perfect, man. Well, as I said, that's pretty much I'll get from you, and I really do appreciate your time. Once again, best of luck for your upcoming bout. I did check out your YouTube, I will say, and the only thing I will say is I like the little intro piece you did to your, I think it was Journey to Greatness or something like that, and you were like, and this is my story, and I was like, okay. So I get that, but look, thank you again. As I said, hopefully people will tune in. Obviously, people that aren't in Sydney, follow Charles on his Instagram, and hopefully we'll get some illegal streams going on. But until that time, best of luck, and hopefully get you back at a later date. Thank you so much, and remember to stay blessed.
I'm a one.